there, fellow travelers with children. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're going to talk about some advice and tips about visiting Paris with your kids, because Paris is fantastic for families. We have been bringing our kids here since they were babies. Like Liam learned how to walk right over there, okay? And he's a lot bigger than walking now, okay? And so what I want to do is just give you some things we've seen over a decade of bringing our kids here to Paris to help you have a better time with your kids when you're here. Because for a big city in Europe, this is probably one of the best ones to bring kids to, because one, there are tons of museums and sites that your kids will enjoy, okay? From children's focused things to children focused activities in some of those big museums you go to, whether it's the Louvre or Musée d'Orsay. And there's tons of sites here that they will recognize from their cartoons. And so what I want to start off with is preparing your kids to coming to Paris. One thing I got to tell you is you need to get your kids used to walking a lot, because you will do a lot of walking when you're here. Even if that is you're going to be using strollers, get your kids used to being in the stroller a long time or walking a long time. Do your family walks for the 2 or 3 weeks before you come to Paris, so they're kind of used to the walking and their shoes are broken in. Never buy kids new shoes right before you go on a trip, because ow, you know they hurt your feet, they hurt theirs too, okay? Another thing I think you should do before you come to Paris is find your kids' favorite cartoons, and you'll notice that a lot of cartoons will actually come to Paris for some reason or another, whether it's a Garfield or a Bugs Bunny or whatever, they come here. Show them those cartoons, and then they'll notice there's the Eiffel Tower, there's Notre Dame, there's the Louvre, there's the Mona Lisa, and then when they come here, it gets them excited about seeing it, and that gives a lot more pop in some of those things. It also helps when they're having a tired day and they're like, oh, we're going to go see the Eiffel Tower like in the cartoon. That gives them a bit more energy, okay? And one of the things is I realize that kids have plenty of energy, but you'll notice when they get to a museum, that energy is not always in the best place. My recommendation for you, if you're going to be doing the museums with the kids when you're here, is don't do more than 2 museums or 2 main sites a day. I know you may feel, we got to see everything, but your kids will burn out, and then they'll take it out on you, and then you'll be like, ah! So I recommend 1 or 2 museums, like see the Louvre in the morning, let them play in the gardens outside, and then go see Musée d'Orsay because it's right there. But you have to realize the time limit side of it. One thing that Joss and I will do when we travel with our kids, if there's a museum I really want to see, and when the kids were little, they weren't in the mood, I would go see that museum and she would take care of the kids. And in the afternoon, she'd go see the museum and I'd take care of the kids. That could be something that can be helpful for you when you're here. Another thing that's nice is when you're in Paris, there's a lot of little small green spaces you can go to let the kids run around, to let them get a little bit of the energy out, which is really important, especially between sites, because it can be a bit much. And one of our favorite places to let kids run around and have fun is actually if you go to the Eiffel Tower. Right behind the Eiffel Tower, there's actually a little play structure that the kids can play on while people are going up the Eiffel Tower. I don't really recommend taking the little kids up the Eiffel Tower because, one, you can get a great view of the city up by Sacré-Cœur, and they'll like that view from up there just the same, and that's free versus you have to pay to go up the Eiffel Tower, and the lines and the claustrophobicness. You don't want your kid freaking out at the second level saying they don't want to go to the top, so that would be one thing I would warn you about. Another thing I want to tell you, if you're going to come here with your kids, is there's actually a lot of children's programming or children-based tours and activities. One thing that Liam did, we took a macaron class. We learned how to make macarons together, and it was a fantastic thing for him and I. Jocelyn and Caleb, they took a paint and plein air. Like they actually were right down here painting Notre Dame, my older son and Jocelyn. So it was a nice activity for them to bond together. It was culture, it was art, but also it wasn't just looking and walking around a museum, okay? So that's something you should think about. And like I said, there's tons of museums and sites that are dedicated towards kids, and I'll put that up here. There's probably a list that is popping up now to help you understand that. One thing you'll see that the locals will do with their little ones, like the stroller age kids, is when they're walking around, they just give the kid a little baguette or a croissant or some piece of bread, and the kid kind of gnaws on the bread as they go around, and it kind of calms them down. And that's something you can do with your kids if you're going to be walking, because I know some people are like, we're going to walk and see it all. I have to let you know, the walk from here at Notre Dame to the Louvre, through the Champs-Élysées to the Arc de Triomphe and then the Eiffel Tower, that's 8 kilometers or 5 miles of walking, okay? Little feet, they're not gonna be happy, so have your stroller ready. If you are going to be using the metro to go around, I recommend bringing umbrella strollers because that's easier to get through the turnstiles and everything on the metro when you're here, because we actually had a big stroller once, and the locals are great with kids, don't worry. The locals are helping us lift the stroller up and over the barricades when these things were happening. So umbrella strollers are going to be a little more helpful than the big old, Graco huge strollers, okay? Now another thing you need to realize when you come to Paris with children, you're not going to find children's menus at the restaurants, okay? Now if you ask, some of the restaurants will let you get a smaller portion. Now, they may charge you less or they might not charge you less for the smaller portion, but you can at least ask, and people are very friendly. There are some really kind of kid-friendly things that are here. My kids, obviously the croissants and the pain de chocolat, like all the bread stuff, they love that. Caleb, even since he was little, loved trying frog legs when he was here. Though be careful of the small bones with the little ones. Liam's go-to is the coq monsieur, which is the French equivalent of a toasted cheese ham and cheese sandwich, but kind of flip-flopped around. Fork and knife are important for that one, okay? But that's like an easy thing you can get anywhere. And what's nice is the little cafes, you can sit and have a beer or a wine, and your kids can have a little snack, and so that's a nice thing. Also, probably the most fun thing the kids like to have when they walk around, you'll see there'll be creperies all around, and there'll be just little crepe stands. You can get a nice crepe that's folded up so they can hold with Nutella, which will get everywhere, but it's tasty. But that's one thing that kids have always enjoyed, that they'll walk around having their little crepe and their Nutella as they walk and enjoy the sights, okay? So, I hope this helps you get ready to come visit Paris with your kids. It's a fantastic city, no matter if you've got little ones or big ones to come, because teenagers love it too, because the grams are all over this place for them too. So, have a great time, and bye from Paris.